There are moments when the Republic seems to tremble. You feel it in the quiet after news reports. Some call for leaders to step down, others shout for justice or demand truth. In Minneapolis, two people, Alex Pretty and Renee Good, are dead after federal agents moved in during an immigrant protest. The loss is heavy, and the questions run deep. Not all news is black and white. History has seen this before. A nation shocked, a government on trial, and neighbors unsure who to trust. This country has faced hard storms, yet with clear minds, we have found steadier ground. Let us set aside outrage. I offer calm reason, a steady voice. The Republic can be saved, but only if we look hard at the facts and ask what sort of country we want to be. Picture a cold morning in Minneapolis, the city square silent, except for wisps of police tape, flowers left by neighbors, and news cameras keeping their distance. Two families wake up grieving, their lives changed with no warning. It is not some far-off tragedy. They are sons, daughters, friends. Now across the country, people are gathered in living rooms. The television's blue glow fills the room. Some are angry, some confused, many simply afraid. They want to know, did Homeland Security enforce the law, or did something go badly wrong? Who gave the order? Who must answer? Let me speak simple truth. When the government uses power, it must answer to the people. Still, order is a pillar. Without it, liberty falls. The border must be guarded. The law requires officers to act. But our nation also holds to mercy. Power without mercy is never right. Law without light is never safe. Our Congress now debates if Secretary Kristi Noem should resign or be impeached. Some Republicans join Democrats in asking for her to step down. Others, including President Trump, say she has done her duty, that order must stand. The Capitol feels tense. One group demands removal, another voices trust. Pause for a moment. Picture the steps of the U.S. Capitol as lawmakers pass beneath faded winter clouds. Each wonder what will become of the truth and whether peace or anger will win the day. Inside, committees arrange papers, summon witnesses, and search for answers. Outside, news crews gather, their eyes fixed on every word and decision. But what happened that day in Minneapolis is still shrouded. Did protesters attack agents, as DHS claims? Or did officers fire on the unarmed, as local witnesses say? Congress wants all the footage, the reports, the full story. The Department of Homeland Security says it acted lawfully and blames lawmakers for defending lawbreakers. Meanwhile, families wait for answers. So does the nation. Think of a young voter in a high school gym. He stands in line holding a ballot with shaking hands. Around him, people whisper about the shootings. He wonders if America has lost its way. Is justice still possible? Does his voice matter when the shouting grows so loud? Law is not the enemy of protest. In our country, you can speak up. You can challenge power. But with that right comes risk, and government must walk a narrow road. If officials act as masters, not servants, public trust will wither. If they ignore the call for answers, the rule of law is nothing but a slogan. Visualize a factory at shift's end. Workers step out, tired, jackets against the chill. They talk in small groups, asking if these deaths were needed, if the Republic is in trouble, and where the truth will come from. These are the people the government serves. Their peace is the government's only legitimacy. I do not say that order is unimportant. Far from it. The defenders of Secretary Noem remind us, a nation without borders will soon have no laws at all. Every country must protect its people. But enforcement, poorly watched, becomes a danger itself. What sets America apart is not its might, but its conscience. Imagine, if you will, a courtroom late in the day. The benches are filled with families of the lost and officials sworn to the truth. A judge asks all to tell what they saw, not just what they want to believe, but the simple, hard facts. The room holds sorrow, but also a shared hope that justice is still possible if facts are known. And what comes now? Democrats have filed for impeachment. Moderates and members of the president's party have called for Secretary Noem to explain herself, or even to leave. Committees start public hearings, looking into what happened and who knew what, when. Each party tries to make sense for themselves and for the watching country. We must not become a nation ruled by outrage. We cannot let anger decide what is just, nor let fear silence oversight. Congress has every right and duty to get answers. The President may trust his secretary, but this trust cannot be the end of the matter. Law must stand over loyalty and the people's will over private confidence. Think of an older man walking Main Street in his small town just after sunset. He pauses to lower the flag in the public square, mindful perhaps of days when his country seemed more united, the meaning of the law more sure. He holds hope that America's best days are not behind her, and that if citizens do their duty, the Republic remains strong. Through all of this we are reminded, justice is not vengeance. The truth must rise above party lines, above clamor, above every president or official. Let us not seek blame without knowledge, nor shelter those who do wrong because they sit in high positions. But let us not walk blind into the future. We must pause, take stock. If we act with wisdom now, healing is still possible. Picture a late night, somewhere in Minnesota. A mother sits alone in her kitchen. The clock glows past midnight. She waits for the phone to ring or a message to chime. She wonders if the men and women in power will give her the full truth of her child's last day. This too is the Republic, pain, hope, and the longing for honesty. Congress debates not just the fate of a secretary, but the kind of country our children will inherit. Will officials answer for what is done in the people's name, or will shadow and secrecy become the norm? I urge lawmakers to push for all the footage, all the reports, every witness. Sunshine, not silence, is the friend of peace. Imagine now the press room at DHS headquarters. Journalists lean over their notepads, their pencils hovering above paper, waiting, hoping, for leaders to speak plainly, to answer questions without evasion. Not with clever words, not with blame for the opposition, but with facts, straight and clear. If there was error, if any lost their life without cause, America must admit it and change. This is not weakness, but the source of our strength. Our people trust their government only when it tells the full story, not just the part that favors those in charge. Pause one more time. Picture a group of schoolchildren on a field trip to their state's capital. They stand before a portrait of the founders, their teacher explaining that here in this land, no one stands above the law, not presidents, not agents, not even Congress itself. He tells them that long ago, people believed in this promise, and it fell to each generation to keep it whole. Those children, clustered around that old painting, will inherit the country we shape today. They depend on adults to show what accountability is, not just in words, but in action. Every public hearing, every honest answer, every open record is a lesson written for them and for all of us. Picture a diner at dawn, the coffee hot, the newspapers cold from the porch. Old friends gather at the counter, sharing disbelief that such loss could happen here. They do not all agree on blame. One grieves for the fallen agents, another for the protesters, each searching for meaning in the mess of headlines. But every one of them wants one thing, that their country faces grief with decency, not with denial. To heal, a republic must see itself plainly. If wrong was done by those sworn to serve, it should be named. If government tried to act with care and failed in haste, let that be told too. To cover mistakes shames the living and fails the dead. But to admit error, to change, and to do better, that is the path of nations that endure. Imagine a small-town school board meeting, the chairs filled with neighbors. Someone stands to ask, who will keep us safe, but also make sure power is never misused? The answer comes not from any official, but from the quiet nods around the room. It is the people themselves who must keep watch, not out of anger, but out of love, for country and for one another. America's strength is her unity. When we resolve to seek truth, not as a weapon but as a light, the divisions among us begin to heal. That is how justice and order walk together. It takes longer. It takes patience. But the reward is a peace that outlasts any single news cycle or headline. Remember this scene, a line of candles lit along the sidewalk in Minneapolis, flickering in the evening wind while neighbors stand together, holding hands in silence. Loss has bruised this city, but the people's hope still endures. They gather not to shout, but to mourn, and to promise one another that they will not forget, nor let this account fade away before it is made right. Not all news is black and white, not every answer is simple. Yet if officials speak plainly, if Congress upholds its duties, and if citizens do not turn away in weariness, the truth will outlive the storm. And what of those now in power? I say again, no chair, no office, no badge is more important than the trust placed in it. Let every leader remember, America belongs to her people and will be judged by how she treats her weakest, by how she answers her darkest days. Let there be honest sorrow where harm was done. Let there be honest credit where good faith stood firm. But above all, let there be resolve to carry forward, not as enemies of one another, but as fellow stewards of a great, unfinished experiment in liberty and law. So as morning breaks on another day in this country, picture a mother opening her front door, breathing cold air, and vowing her child's name will not vanish from memory. Picture a lawmaker, sleepless, reading letters from his district, each one heartfelt, each one a reminder that duty is personal, sacred, and never easy. Picture yourself, viewer, one voice in a nation of millions, yet with power no less important than any chosen to lead. America's path was never meant to be smooth. Our republic, if it is to last, must be tended, not with rage, but with hope and honesty. Justice made in haste is seldom just. Leadership that hides from mistakes deserves to fall. But when we stand together, when we lift our eyes to the actual facts and refuse the easy comfort of blame, the republic can be saved. You have a part to play. You have a right to ask, to listen, to seek peace, not at any price, but through truth and fairness. Congress must work, the President must answer, and every agency must be open to review. That is the American way. That is what makes us more than any crisis or calamity. So I leave you with this. What kind of example shall we set for those who come after? Do we push truth aside for our own side's gain? Or do we walk, even when heavy with worry, toward a justice that belongs always to everyone? Let us meet this hour with courage, humility, and hope, for if we do, history will say that in times of hardship, America found her better angels once again. If we rise to that, the Republic will not only survive, she will shine. And so, as you sit in your own living room or walk down your street, I ask, as I have asked before, and as every generation must ask itself, what will you do today to help keep the promise of a free and honest republic alive?